The final CSGO major is set to kick off on Monday and will mark a 2-week send-off for the game in preparation of Counter-Strike 2. 11 years culminating in one final tournament. And honestly, anyone can take home this monumental trophy. Alright everyone, before we get into the video, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our partners over at Qualcomm Technologies and the Snapdragon Elite Gaming team. They've been helping us explore mobile esports and the mind-blowing technology that's the driving force behind it. So if you want to learn more about that, make sure you check out our episode of Cracked on the explosive rise of mobile esports using the link below. And stay tuned for more mobile esports content as we head to the Snapdragon Pro Series Mobile Masters in Tokyo. Okay, so before we get into the final goddamn CSGO major that's just a few days away, I need to make sure that everyone is properly hyped. Sure, it may seem like Counter-Strike 2 is basically just the same game and updated, and yes, in some ways it definitely is. But you have to think about the context coming into this major and what's at stake for a lot of these players. CSGO majors have always been the standard for what separates a good player from a great one. Winning just one cements you in the history of the game forever. And you can't really say that about any other tournament. Kings crowned, curses formed, dynasties solidified. Majors are responsible for heartbreak, euphoria, and have made its winners household names around the world. Majors are mythological by definition, and this will be every player's last chance.
To not be part of the last CSGO major, you're missing out on being part of history by default, because anyone that's there is part of history. You know, it's part of the last major in CSGO, as we know it.
I mean, if you still somehow don't understand the gravity of it all, just look at the tears that were shed during qualifiers. For so many of these players, this was their last opportunity to make their mark. Sure, it's entirely possible that CS2 will be even more popular as an esport, but there's also a chance that it won't be. And not a single player, analyst, or fan knows what the landscape is going to look like by the end of the year. Players will retire, teams will leave the game entirely, and new ones will enter. So as much as this is going to be a fresh start, it will also mark the end of an era. With that said, I do think that Blast, the teams in attendance, and the city of Paris itself is going to give us one hell of a send-off. And honestly, we gotta talk about it, because this has the potential to be the most unpredictable major in history. It hasn't even started yet, and we've already seen a ton of upsets. C9 is out, Astralis is out, hell, even the defending champions missed the cut.
And I think bit by bit his number is up, the flames will tickle him, and a jump peak as well should give it up. JDC sees it off, and just like that, Mouse continue their dream here, but they eliminate Virtus Pro from the possibility of making their way towards Paris. With the headlines of the changes, with Norbert brought in at last minute, they bomb out of the EU RMRA.
We had a lot of questions coming into this one, and I think we have even more now. No one knows what is going on, but not the VP that we were expecting. A shadow of their former selves as they get knocked out.
Instead, we have teams like Bad News Eagles and Into the Breach who cleared it all the way to the Legend stage, while FaZe is in the lowest seed. Now, although the qualifiers did cause a lot of question marks, we still have our favorites. G2, Na'Vi, Heroic, Vitality, and yes, even FaZe are all the strongest teams right now and probably have the best chance at securing a dub. And each of these teams come with their own incredible storylines. So let's talk about them. Vitality and Heroic are currently the biggest frontrunners right now just because they've had the most success as of late. Heroic has definitely been the most consistent team in the last while, and with coming so close at both Rio and Katowice, it feels like a massive win is just within arm's reach. And Heroic winning the last ever CSGO major would definitely be something. Not even mentioning the entire coaching bug scandal, Cadian is probably the most controversial CSGO pro over the last few years. That being said, love him or hate him, you can't deny the journey this guy has gone through. And an all-Danish roster winning the last ever CSGO major would further solidify them as the most dominant region. What about Vitality? Well, they are looking just as strong as anyone else right now, and they are coming off the most recent win where they just beat Heroic. So if I were a betting man, I'd probably put my money on Vitality. I mean, just look at the storylines. dupreeh is the only player in CSGO history to attend every single major. All 19. He's already won more than any other player, but securing the final CSGO major, that's GOAT status. And there's of course ZywOo, the literal antithesis to Cadian's controversy. Seeing him finally get a win that's worthy of his skill level would be a great way to cap off CSGO. Dimitri may or may not written that line. Next up, we have G2, and I think the storylines speak for themselves there. Can Nico do it? After all the chances, after all the heartbreak, can he finally win his major? Or will it be simple and Na'Vi? will the most individually talented player in the history of the game be crowned king one last time? How about FaZe? They have proved time and time again that they have that X factor. But more than any other team, those boys have quite the journey ahead of them. But when it comes to each of these three juggernauts, it's all about consistency. Despite their firepower and skill, they all lack stability. And that stability is going to be key. Because although these 5 teams have dominated most of the conversations over the past few weeks, as I've said, it's truly anyone's tournament. Ever since the Rio Major, and maybe even before that, the skill gap between teams has shrunk significantly. And although certain teams have better fundamentals than others, upsets have become increasingly more common. And when it comes to teams like Liquid, Furia, ENCE, and other so-called middle-of-the-pack teams, I think Sponge said it best. There are no more excuses.
Naf, Elige, and Yakinda. You're telling me you don't think, like, if those 3 players are on form, OC's having a good time. Even Nitro's had some like crazy impact rounds recently. I know it needs to be to the higher level, but it can get there. Like, I don't know why we would assume that it can't get there. Apparently, according to my little timeline as well, they started boot camping on the 22nd of April. So it seems like they're going to have there shouldn't be an excuse for the major of a team going, we didn't get enough practice against European Counter-Strike. Like, that doesn't exist anymore. Because we're in this period of Counter-Strike where we can't even establish, like, we can establish who the top pack is, but like in terms of like who the top dog is, HLTV rankings as of 2 days ago, right, puts Heroic up there, but it doesn't mean as much as it did previously. Like, I can't remember a major that we've gone into where we have such an open field.
But that's enough from me. I want to hear from you guys. What are your favorite storylines heading into this tournament, and who do you want to see win the last ever CSGO major? Let me know in the comments. And as always, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you on the next one. Yeah, imagine North America, like Liquid or like Complexity, somehow win the final major, and then CS2 just dies. Like, just for some reason, no one plays it. You're down like 5-0 at recess, and it's like, all right, last goal wins. That'd be the most North American thing ever, too. Last major wins. We're the best, actually, now.